Good morning.
Welcome.
Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good. You're not in your car.
Not- I postponed it to 2 o'clock today because the daughter is not going to school, so it just all has to go 1 to 2 there, and then 2 to 2:30 her school to be picked up. So all that. So too cold
Oh,
for her to go, so I'm just staying home,
well, that's good. I know. I loved a snow day when I was a kid. It's
being
like,
the
woo.
dad, being the chauffeur, and all that.
So Kyle, I was going to ask you, did you get your Bresser book? Did it arrive in the mail?
It did, yep.
Yeah. So have you read any of it?
Yep, I'm about halfway through it probably.
Oh,
Wow.
well then. Yeah. So what I did is I actually ordered 10 books because there's not that many out there, but I thought that can be our book study. Every week we can talk about different parts of the book. It's basically the language that you're going to need to help sellers and buyers make decisions, how to net people more money. So once I get those, I'll get them out to you. How much did you pay for yours, Kyle? Like
Uh,
eight
Good
bucks.
question. I usually don't even look at the price. I just buy. I think it
Smart.
was probably around 40 to 50 bucks.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah. So I think
hardcover, so.
yeah, so that's about what mine are averaging out. So you guys will invest that $50 to get the book because if I get you to pay for the book, you'll read the book and then it's yours forever. But yeah, there's one on there. It was like $625. I did not buy that one.
Yeah, they
Uh,
were tough to find. It wasn't like it was easy.
no, I spent a couple of days on there and then I found one site that actually finds them in all different locations and then sends them all at once, but I only have to pay once. I'm like, I like that.
Okay. How
Simplicity.
was it on Amazon or some other site?
It was called Abe's Books, ABE, Abe's Books.
Okay, I just need to order. I was thinking of ordering yesterday and another microphone and all that, and I just completely forgot. So all those ABBS, you said?
ABES. Yeah, Abe. Good
ABBS.
old Abe's Books. Yeah.
ABBS. Okay.
Gun deep. I've been seeing your posts about the eightplex. That's awesome that they're letting you promote it. That's cool.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah.
So,
I like your Remax thing
oh yeah,
on your screen. That's good.
background. Yes.
Yeah.
Fawad said he's going to be a little bit late, so we can
Sure.
probably get started. So today we're going to be talking about for sale by owners and how to do for sale by owner presentations. Penny has always said, if you can get good at for sale by owners, you never have to worry about food on your table. And so this is how you get in every single time when you call for sale by owner. This is what you say. Hi, I saw your property for sale at 123 Street. If I brought you a buyer willing to pay a price acceptable to you, would you accept such an offer through my company? If they say no, they are illogical because it says if if I brought you a buyer willing to pay a price acceptable to you, would you accept an offer through my company? They might respond with, sure, if you had the commission. This is what you respond with. Great. Would today at 5:30 or 6:30 work for you? That's it. If they say, oh no, today doesn't work, can we come Thursday? Great. I'll see you then. And every single time it works.
Yeah. And if they like sometimes they don't understand, like, well, I don't want to list my house. And you're saying, I don't even necessarily have a buyer, but if I had a qualified buyer willing to pay a price acceptable to you, would you accept such an offer through my company? And then they go, well, I don't know. Do you have a buyer? And you say, well, I don't know what you have to sell. So we have to match those up. What the buyer is selling and what the buyer is buying and what the seller is selling. So I'll come over, have a look at your house, and we can chat. And then again, you always do the close, give them two options, and go over. So when things are really rough, and I mean it is true, like if you don't have any deals on the books, you need money. So it's about, I mean, on average, from the time you list something to the time it closes is 90 days. So if you keep your listing inventory, so if you keep talking to for sale by owners, you're getting listings, you're always going to have that paycheck in every month because you're going to be 90 days ahead once you start. So what does that look like? You get to the door, you're like, hi, Mr. Seller. They say, I always love it. They goes, what do you think my house is worth? You've just literally walked in there. Well, I don't know. That door looks like it's worth about $3,000, but I'm going to need to see the rest of it. So you go in, and this is probably one of the most powerful pieces of language that I know. Because they're like, oh, we want to, because they're selling by owner. But here's the thing. What is the single greatest advantage a buyer would have in buying directly from you? You need to pause. Don't say anything. They're like, well, I want to, well, they want to save the commission. Right. And what is the single greatest advantage you would have in selling directly to a buyer? Now you can see them scratching their head going, wait, this is a trap. The single greatest advantage you would have is the same thing. Like you're hoping to save the same commission. So who do you think is going to save that commission? Probably not you. So then you give them statistics. So in the Bresser books that we're going to have, I'm going to get those to you. They're going to be about $50, but it has all the language in there. So statistically, a private seller will lose 3 to 5% more than if they sold through real estate. All right. So then you say to them, after you've done, what's the single greatest reason that you would have selling directly to them? Then when they understand that, wait a minute, both these people are trying to save the same amount of money, you say, do you see any possible disadvantages in continuing to sell your own house? Like you're literally just in the door. Sometimes you can close them just on that because they're like, wow, I never really thought about that. And then they say, well, I've heard everything. Well, we could split the difference. Sure. If I go to a garage sale, which you in essence are, you're a garage sale. If I had to go to a garage sale and the guy's selling a Rolex, am I going to give him the $10,000 that it's worth? Oh, there's no warranties. I don't even know if it's real. Could be something wrong with it. Maybe he stole it. There's there's nobody to come back on, right? So they're going to give you, well, I don't know, I'll give you a couple $100. So you have bargain hunters and casual lookers is who's looking at your property. There's 4 kinds of buyers. Serious buyers that are in a hurry to buy, serious buyers that are not in a hurry to buy, casual lookers, and then there's those people that will never buy. So, and they say, well, I'm going to get one of those. Okay, well, let's look at that. So if you look at the market, if somebody Googles houses for sale in Red Deer, what comes up? For sale by owners don't come up. 100% of the things that come up are with real estate. If they go to our real estate site, what are they going to see? 100% of things are listed with real estate. If they look on social media, 100% of the posts that are probably going to come in front of them are listed with realtors. So if 93.7% of the buyers are looking and are serious, they have to come to us. We have the inventory. So that's what people don't understand. They think, well, I'll just get lucky. And, as Jerry says, in Vegas, every year somebody goes to Vegas, puts $1 in the slot machine and makes money. But statistically, people have to lose money, otherwise Vegas wouldn't exist. The same thing is with us. And I say this to people when I'm talking to them, if you could not net more money listing with real estate, we would not exist. We would have gone the way of the dinosaurs. Like there has to be something that we're providing for them. But there's a lot of things we're providing for them. We're providing security. It's just like that Rolex watch. If they buy a Rolex house, a really nice house from us, there is some kind of warranties that we are responsible for. Like we're responsible for the information that's on the listing. We're responsible for checking it. We're responsible for helping them get a home inspection so that they have protection there. So we have all of these things. And also, if for some reason something went wrong, they could sue us. We have insurance. 90% of the litigation regarding real estate in the United States anyway has to do with for sale by owners. Because like I said, well, if you just miss one part, like, oh, well, you didn't cross out that you need to get them a real property report. They don't even know what a real property report is. right? So right there, that's $1,000. Okay, let's take it one step farther. They didn't get the RPR, and then they find out that there's something wrong, that the garage is sitting on the neighbor's land. All right, well, we would have told them you should probably get title insurance if there was no RPR, right? So those are things that we put in place. So it's easy for private sellers to get into the weeds and to create problems for themselves. Plus, if you actually talk to a private seller, let's say you go over to the guy's house, he wants 350,000. I always say, what is the very least you'd accept for cash? Well, I don't know. I'd probably take 330. All right. Well, in your head, you've probably done some homework before you went over. That thing's worth 350. Even with your commission, that guy just gave away $5,000. So I say to him, even if with my marketing plan, we could net you an extra $1, $2, or $3,000. If I put that on the table in front of you, would you say, I don't want it? Of course not. You want the money. You want to take that money home. So don't leave money on the table. And I always say we earn our commission. But the buyer pays the commission. And this is a great one too. They say, well, I'm not going to pay that kind of commission, especially because we're at 6%, right? And I say, well, actually, the buyer pays the commission. They're like, what do you mean? I say, well, have you bought a car? Yeah. Who paid the commission? Well, their office did. Yeah, but who gave them the money to pay the commission? Well, I guess I did. Exactly. So the buyer is paying the commission because at the end result, he's still got to be happy with the amount of money that he's getting or he doesn't take the offer. So you shift that. So now you're in a private seller and you're saying the buyer's actually paying the commission, not you. He's like, well, it's like it's free. Sure. And we, in essence, are a free service because if we don't sell that house, they don't have to pay anything. Now that's with us, right? Now, if they go to what shall I call them? Just a mere posting or bargain subdivision of real estate, they pay up front. I said, wasn't that nice? Well, we don't get paid up front. We have to earn that. We have to sell your house. I always say, I don't list houses, I sell houses. I don't want your listing. I don't want this listing for like 90 days. Then they're like, well, do you have a buyer for your house? And I'll say, well, let's have a look at the house. We'll go through the house. We'll discuss the house and then we'll chat from there. So you can actually start from there and then we can go into the listing presentation, which is separate from this. But this is just getting you in the door and then you're always asking qualifying questions. So why are you selling? Where are you going? Because you need to figure out if you want this listing. You may not want this listing. You may walk in and go, oh, wow, I'm going to have to burn my clothes when I get home. And this guy is not realistic at all. You say, are you absolutely serious about selling your home? Well, because I had one, I lived in Sylvan Lake, and my neighbor, every single year, this guy would put his house up for sale, 50,000 more than it was worth. So I go over to him, I say, are you serious about selling your house? He's like, not really. If I found somebody dumb enough to pay me this extra $50,000, I'd sell. Well, guess what? The market caught up with him. He didn't know how much the market went up, and somebody did buy it from him. So he tested the market, and the market won that time. So you have your entry point, which is just if I had a buyer, like, well, I don't know if I have a buyer yet until I come see your house. But usually, if you're going to a for sale by owner, you might have something you like about it. Like I always pick the ones I like, ooh, if there's one in Michener or it's got a suite or something like that, I go over because I always say, I'm excited about this house. This is a great house. I've sold that one, that one, that one. Prices are really good right now for this type of property. Because, and then when the market's going up, people think, I don't need you. My neighbor, their house sold in 1 day. I hear it all the time. 2 days. Sure. Yeah, that's right. I did an evaluation for some clients when it was 2007, the market was going up. I told him what it was worth. And then he was looking at stuff. He didn't buy anything at that point. Then he decided he was going to go on a mission trip over to Africa or somewhere. So he just must have whispered it around somewhere. And he phones me, he said, I sold it. I said, oh. I said, do you mind if I ask what you sold it for? Well, I sold it at what you told me it was worth. And I said, well, as I told you, the market changes daily. I just sold one similar to yours for 50,000 more. So good job on saving the commission and good job on losing at least $40,000. So we can create an auction atmosphere. I would say to them, sure, yeah, the market's great. And especially for your type of house, it's really in demand. So you will sell your house. I don't know how long that will take because 90% of all direct buyers are not qualified to buy the houses they look at. Like they're just looking for a deal, right? Why would they go to look at it for sale by owner if they were serious? If they're serious and in a hurry, they're phoning one of us, right? They're like, dude, I just moved to town. I got to get a house. My wife's coming next month and I need a place to stay. So the urgent buyers come to us and the people that are just like, I don't know, I'll look around, see what I can find. So they might buy your house, but they can't create an auction atmosphere. So that's basically what we do as realtors. We put it out there because I always say there's 365 realtors. There's probably 635. But 365 is a nice number because that's like, hey, one realtor for every day of the year. So when I put your listing out, there's people that have their people on a feed. Under 350 especially, but we've probably got 10 buyers, 20 buyers, 30 buyers in that price range. So each realtor that has their person on a feed or whatever, you'll see the stats. If you ever look on your stats for how many hits did you get on your listing, if it's under 350, you're gonna have like 1,000 hits on that thing because there's 1,000 eyeballs on that. So I say, okay, so you got 365 realtors. And if even half of them had a couple of clients, that's 365 buyers. How many buyers do you think you're going to get to come to your house? Probably not 365. So they need to understand that we're the auction. We're the professionals. We're where the serious buyers go. What do you got? Bargain hunters and casual lookers. So my favorite story is I went over to this guy. He lived down the street from me. I went over, I did a listing presentation. He said, Penny, I'm just going to try it on my own for a while. I said, sure. I always say, I think everybody should try for sale by owner at least once because they'll never do it again. So he phones me about a week later and he goes, you got to get over here and list this house. I said, oh, what happened? And he said, well, I like to listen to my music. He said, but I wear headphones, but I can't hear the phone ring. So I'm literally sitting with my hand on the phone to feel it vibrate in case somebody phones me. This is too stressful. I said, yeah, that seems very stressful. I'll be right over. It's only a block away. So I went over, listed his house, and sold his house. So what we have to do is we have to point out their shortfalls. That other guy wants all your money. He doesn't just want 7% off, does he? He wants like 10 or 12% off the price of that house because if he's going to pay fair value, he's just going to go talk to us. And he's going to buy one that's on MLS that has warranty that he can talk to us. If he needs to sue somebody, here we are. But we do our job so we don't get sued. So he needs to understand all of the problems and that we have all of the solutions. And that really it is a disadvantage for your seller, your new seller, to sell that house privately. And I really do. Like, I honestly feel like, oh no, like it's like operating on yourself. Like, I think I can take my liver out. Yeah, I'm just gonna slice that open and get that out of there. No, you don't operate on your own liver. You do not sell your own house. Even me. I don't sell my own house. I have a realtor. He's right there, guy in the blue. And I get him to talk to the clients because, like I say, some days, some of my properties are $1 million less. Like, just take it away from me. Bryce does not tell them that. He does not say, you can get it at any price today. But if you walk into a for sale by owner on the right day, they'll just about give their house away. And that's why wholesaling has become a thing. It's like, I think actually wholesaling has replaced for sale by owners because people don't actually want to do for sale by owners. They don't want to put a sign on the lawn. I always say, like, okay, so you have a wife and 2 kids, right? Yep. She's a beautiful wife. I said, so how much do you work? Well, I work like, 12 to 12. I work a 12-hour shift and I'm like, okay, so who's going to be showing the house? Well, my wife will. All right. So you can't exactly qualify the people that are wanting to come over to your house. So you're telling me that you're going to allow your wife to show your house to strangers while you're at work. Okay. Do you see any possible disadvantages in continuing to sell your house yourself? It's like, oh, I never thought of that. Because you don't know who's coming in your house. Why are they coming in your house? They could be coming in your house to scope it out and see. First, they want to find out if you're desperate. That is the number one reason people will show up. And I'll even go back later and say, so how many people did you have come over? Oh, well, actually, I've got one right now. And I actually have her listed as, I won't say her name, blank, for sale by owner. Because she's like hardcore for sale by owner. She has had some success. She's really talented. She works with builders. And occasionally, back in the day, she would sell one without real estate. But the last house she sold, guess who sold it? So now she has another house for sale. So it's also husband lost the job. So they want to sell, but it's a beautiful house. And I'm like, man, I really hope you don't have to sell this house. She's like, yeah, well, depending if my husband gets another job, he should. Maybe we won't have to, right? So this is like a sad for sale by owner story for the buyer. All right. So I phone her once in a while to see how it's going. I'm actually going to list a property, just a trailer on a red RV lot next to this big fancy subdivision, Meridian Beach, for like the multi-million-dollar houses. That's where hers is. Beautiful view of the lake. I said, hey, I'm going out to list another one. Why don't I come over and list yours too? I said, how's it going? Because day one, she had put a little ad in somewhere. Somebody from BC said, oh, yeah, I want to buy it. I'm going to come. They told her a date they were going to come. Did they come then? No. And then they pushed it off. Did they come then? No. I don't actually know if they came at all because I said to her, how's it going? She goes, well, I have two buyers that say they're interested. She said, but now my husband has a job and I just got a job offer here a couple of minutes ago. So she said, I feel sorry for the buyer a little bit, but not really. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, they have literally listed their house so that they can buy this one, but they have no offer in place. And I'm like, wow, that could be really bad. They could sell their house and have nowhere to move. She goes, yep. She said, yeah, they could really use a realtor's help. I'm thinking, I know somebody else that could really use a realtor's help too. But that's a good story for people to understand too. I mean, I personally have been buy a for sale by owner. I was looking actually at a house that was listed. So I'm standing in the street. I've always wanted to live on 56th Street. I'm looking at this great house and I'm thinking, oh man, I'd like to live here. And out of my eye, this guy comes running out of his house down the street and he goes, hey, you want to buy a house on the street? I said, actually I do. He goes, my house is for sale. I look over, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is a dream. It was a rolled roof line. I think it's maybe the only one in Red Deer. It's a two-story. It's beautiful. The street is amazing. It's two doors over from the ravine. And I'm thinking, I hit the jackpot, right? I say, okay, great. I literally went in, looked at it, went home, made him an offer, brought it back. No, I don't actually want to sell. Okay, so there's nothing I can do about it. It's not listed. I gave him full price. So now I'm the disappointed buyer. So even for buyers, if they think, oh yeah, I'm going to go buy that thing. I said, they could change their mind. You don't even know if they own it. One of my very first listings, I listed this guy's house and I don't even know if we did title searches back then. I think we did after, right? So I list this guy's house. I get an offer on it right away. And then I think it was the office phone and said, he doesn't own the house. I'm like, what? No, he doesn't own a house. It's his dad's house. But I think he's okay with selling it. I'm like, oh my gosh. So when you think about for sale by owners, you could be going to buy a house that's not even theirs. You don't know. Like, did you do a title search before you went over? Did you ask that guy for ID to see if he owned it? Is there a wife involved that has to sign off? He's trying to sell it from underneath her. Like all of those things for buyers that think I'm just going to shop around and for sale by owners. Okay, let's maybe think about that again. So do you think that with that language, you could get in the door? Like if somebody phoned you, you had a house for sale and they said to you, hey, If I had a qualified buyer willing to pay a price acceptable to you, would you accept such an offer through my company? Yep. Okay. What time works? Like, that is so simple, right? It's an open the door thing. You go in, you build rapport, you find out if you want the listing, you find out their motivation. You look at the house and you also find out, are they willing to do things to help themselves make more money? Because you can get right into the listing presentation, like I can help you prepare your house for showing. We can help you price it right. You get to choose the price, and then I can get started right away. Sound good? Sure. I'm tired of trying to sell this thing. This is ridiculous. I've had to stay home on the weekends. People don't even show up. And the ones that do show up, why didn't they make an offer? Well, like these two people that came, and I'm thinking, this is $1 million house, like just under 1 million. And I'm thinking, do those people that are selling their house even know that they can afford to buy that house once they sell it? Right? Because, we can ask those qualifying questions. Like, basically, I was grilling this person the other day. I was like, I need a pre-approval letter. She wouldn't give it to me. She wouldn't even tell me how magically she had now narrowed down that she was going to live in Red Deer. And she said, I can move for any reason. I said, yes, you can. I said, but I'm just trying to help you. Like, before you were looking all over Alberta, your price range has jumped from 3 to 4 to 500,000. I just kind of need to know really where we're at. I said, she goes, well, other realtors won't ask this. And I said, yes. I said, you could go ahead and find someone that would not be as thorough. But when it gets to the offer, you could lose out on a really good deal because you don't have your pre-approval letter. And the other guy did. But good luck. Like, we don't want them all. Like, there's some, we've all met them. We're like, all right, if I'm really bored and I have nothing else to do, I will talk to these people. But we have to focus on the people that are looking for something. And a fun thing too is if you actually have a buyer, like go knock on doors. They don't even have to be for sale by owners. You could go knock on doors and go, hey, I have a buyer. They missed out on the one down the street. Like right now, anybody knows one. I need a half duplex that's rough. I could use probably 3 or 4 of them because I have a guy that wants to fix them up, put in a little mother-in-law suite, turn around and sell them. I need it for like 220. Like, I don't care if it smells like smoke. I don't care if it's beat up. So I was driving, if it wasn't 30 below, I probably would have knocked on doors and said, hey, I just sold this one, but I got extra buyers, and hand out my card. So again, you can say to them, well, if I had a buyer, and I do, because you can say, I actually have extra buyers right now. So it's fun to go to the door when you actually have a buyer too. Go knock on doors. It's really powerful. Like a lot of people would love to sell their house, but there's not a lot of people that are actually thinking, today I'd really like to list my house. I'd like to get it all prepared. I'd like to go through all that stress. But if you walked up to the door, like I had a guy come up to my door in this house that I live in right now. He had a blank check. And he said, I'd like to buy your house. How much would you like for it? I'm like, are you serious? It turned out he's a doctor. And he just wanted to live on the park. And I said, well, and my house at that time was worth maybe 250 to the market. I said, I would need $500,000 and I don't even know if I'd want to sell it then. Okay. Do you know anybody else that might want to sell? And I said, yeah. So I ended up writing offers on a few things with him, but he ended up living somewhere else. But so you're kind of going to the door with a blank check, right? You're saying, I got a guy. Now it's not blank, he'll pay up to so much money. This is what he's looking for. And then if they say they're not interested, you say, do you know anyone else that is? Because these guys really want to buy something. And they'll like, oh, well, actually, Bob next door, the wife just died. Sally over here just went into a home. Like, you want to get in, go to garage sales, go up to seniors' places. All of those people are moving. They just can't get into homes. They would all sell if they could find some place to go. Like, it's crazy. So those are sort of your for sale by owner questions that you can ask them. But again, you have to explain the disadvantage that they have because they do. And you have to believe this. You have to know within your soul that these poor people are out there and they need your help. And they do. Because, have you looked at an offer to purchase? Like, just one guy, he would go over and he had this whole stack of stuff. Like he'd have the offer to purchase, he'd have a copy of an RPR, he had all of this stuff that you would need to know to sell your house. And he called it his for sale by owner package. So he would deliver it to them. So he'd bring it over and he would say, okay, so these are all the things that you need to know and just drop it down. It's kind of like a social studies report. The more paper I used to hand in, the better my mark. So you can imagine, because most people are like, what's an RPR? I have to what? What do I have to cross out? Oh yeah, and make sure you cross this part out. It's really important. And then write in that you're just going to pay for title insurance. Well, what's title insurance? Well, what's this? I don't understand what that is. And and I say, Andrew, you're going to need a lawyer probably to do this up. If we send your stuff to our lawyer, we've done the work. They just got to check the work. If you're selling your house privately, you have to pay him to write those offers because you obviously don't know what to do with this piece of paper here, this 11-page document. You don't know how to fill it out. If you make a mistake, they can sue you. Do you want that? No, I don't want that. All right, well then you're going to pay every time. All right, but here's the kicker. If 90% of buyers are not qualified to buy the houses they look at, and you have a lawyer do up 1, 2, or 3 offers for you that don't go through, wow, that's getting expensive. Say he charges you $500 an hour. You got one, that's what he charges, $500 an hour. So say it takes him an hour to do the offer. It might take him more. Well, then how do you get it signed? How are you good with DocuSign? Do you know how to load the documents? Are you going to meet them in person? Well, I don't know. They don't think about any of these things. They just think, oh, somebody's going to come to my door and buy it because it's such a nice house. Yes, it is. So we need to get that out to the masses so that everybody can see how nice your house is. And you would like the most money possible, correct? With the least amount of problems and as soon as possible. Yeah, because you don't really want to be doing this for 90 days. Plus, the good old days when they'd stick a for sale by owner sign in front. You know what it's like. I said to this lady in Meridian Beach, I said, just don't get it shop worn. Also, don't price it too low because she was going to price it at like 850. She said, well, I'd take, what did she tell me she'd take? I'd take 820 or 850. I'm like, don't tell anybody that because you have an appraisal at 930. All right. And I did my evaluation. I'm like, yeah, I'd probably price it at 895, 899, get a bidding war. So she was going to sell it for way less and net less money. Day one. I'm like, don't do that. So she priced it at 930 for sale by owner. So at least if I get the listing later, it's not like I have to increase the price to sell it. So anybody had any experiences with for sale by, oh, Bryce, you have a question?
So when you're doing a listing presentation, just a normal listing presentation,
Yeah.
what are some of the for sale by owner languages that you throw in there? Because they might be thinking about, maybe I could do for sale by owner.
Yeah. Well, I think the main one is statistically, you will lose money. You will lose 3 to 6% more than if you sold through real estate. Like, well, Bobby sold his house for this. Yes, but you have to understand that house had commission in it, right? So most people that are looking, they know that's the house. Well, there was commission there, so it didn't actually sell for 350. That guy only got 330. So I'm going to offer you 310 because you're a private sale and you don't know what you're doing. So that's one of the main things, and the fact that, well, even like now it's our social media presence, right? Like if you're going over to a listing presentation, you can be like you, Kyle. Well, I have my own YouTube thing. I've got so many followers. I get this many views on my posts. I attract people who are coming to Red Deer. You tell them all of the wonderfulness about you. But, the 4 kinds of buyers, like the serious ones come to us. You just get leftovers. I don't know about you, like even seriously in life, I don't like leftovers. I hate leftovers. I want like fresh and delicious. We had salmon last night. It was delicious. It's going to be good today, but is it going to be quite as good as yesterday when I just about foundered myself on it? No. So that is probably the main language. Bryce, what's your favorite piece of language that you use?
Well, I was just thinking about how there's a for sale by owner presentation. So you go through, you explain, is there any possible disadvantages to continuing selling yourself? or selling your house yourself. But then there's a point where you switch to a listing presentation as well. So you almost need to have two presentations when prepared when you're going to for sale by owner. You're going
Yeah.
there showing them, hey, you will net less money and have more problems selling yourself. And then you need to go into explaining how they benefit by listing with real estate. Because in the beginning, you are not giving them any answers. You're just helping them see the problems. And then once they realize, yeah, I don't want a for sale by owner anymore, then you go into listing presentation. Here's how we're going to net you the most money. Here's all the things that we need to do.
Yeah. And it's like the odds are stacked against you. Like you might hit the jackpot. You might go to the store and win the lottery and not actually have to plan for your retirement, but the chances are pretty slim. And the chances of you selling and netting more money are really slim, like slim to none, and slim died. So I just think that your best opportunity is to put it out there to the maximum amount of people, get the maximum amount of exposure, and get as many offers as humanly possible. Does that make sense? Use that a lot. Does that make sense? Can you see that kind of thing? You see why that would work? So you always have a closing thing because you need to know that they're listening and that they understood. Because if they don't, you need to backtrack. You repeat what you've said, maybe in a little different manner, but you need to make sure that they're following. As you probably noticed, I tend to say a lot, but you can see it in their eyes. And that's the thing when you're in person with people, you can see their eyes kind of glaze over. When you get to the point of, well, this is what you got to do and do, you can see them glazing over. Well, that's when you know, okay, they're calculating all the problems. They're calculating the money that they're going to lose. They're figuring out, wow, this is a lot harder than I thought. So they're figuring all those things out. So you have to pay attention to body language. I took a whole seminar one time on neurolinguistics. It's body language. What are people doing? What are they saying? They're going to say more with their body than they're ever going to say with their words. And pay attention to the husband and the wife. Most of us know who wears the pants in the family when it comes to selling their house. It's not usually the guy. So he can be blah, blah, blah talking, but you need to also, like, there's one, it's like, if they're sort of not decided, you could see the wife is like, we're selling. I'm getting that house over there. That's all there is to it. And, so you say to the wife, if the husband's going, well, I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to list. And you look at the wife and you say, if you were here all by yourself and it was just your decision to make, what would you do? And I did this with a client the other day. She said, well, I'd list with you. Great. Thank you for the listing. Because actually she was selling it. It was a divorce and she was the one selling it. But the husband ended up changing his mind later. But you can do that so that you can sort of get the husband to understand that you go ahead and talk to her tonight. She's going to have the same answer. So let's just get at it. We can have it on by the weekend. We could get professional photos. It's supposed to be nice and sunny, and it's not going to be 30 below next week, so we could get it on then. We could do drone shots because when it's snowing, I can't do drone shots. So you create urgency. This is why we need to get it on. Whatever it is. There's a long weekend. There's a big tournament in Red Deer. It's like in Sylvan Lake. It was perfect. We went out there for the weekend. Family Day. They do all sorts of events. And my client had their house for sale out there, and it sold on that weekend. I swear people are driving around going, I could live in Sylvan. This is nice out here. Look at all these great events. We could go ice fishing. This would be nice. Oh, it's got a suite downstairs. We could Airbnb that. We could make money. So just give them that sense of urgency as to why they need to list, why they need to get it on. But again, you need to know, are they serious about selling? Like moment one. They might have just thought, if I can get 50,000 more than it's worth, then I can afford the house of my wife's dreams, right? But it's interesting. Like often people, like I didn't usually ask this, like, so what do you think your house is worth? I said that to the lady I just sold her. Get to put up 4 sold signs this week, and I got 5 ends because one of them was mine, my buyer and my seller. And I said to her, so what do you think your house is worth? Oh, I don't know. I think I'd be lucky to get 385. And I'm like, nope, we can get more than that. I priced it at 409,777, and we got 409,777. Full price, on and gone. I think it was on the market for 3 days, 2 days, 4 days, not very long. So And I can also give my statistics. Like, do you want your house for sale? Like, if you're selling it privately, you could be doing this for 6 months. You want to pick up your underwear for 6 months, you want to yell at the kids for 6 months. My last one was on and gone in 4 days. That one was on and gone in 3 days. This one was on and gone in 7. That was on and gone in 11. My average is 11 days in the market. Would you like to have your house for sale for 11 days or 6 months? I think 11 days sounds good. Come on, Harold, let's list the house, so you just keep going until you get that hot button, that thing where they go, oh, yeah, didn't think about that. I really don't want to do this. They don't want to. They just want you to convince them. Like the one guy said, he phones me because we worked with the flipper. This guy was supposed to be just the money guy. He wasn't supposed to have anything to say. When it came down to him signing the listing, and the guy had explained the 6% to him, but I had not. So I was on for 54 minutes. I not only explained the 6%, but I also talked about the world in general to build rapport because I never actually met the guy who bought this place. And then, because that was his opening line, explain to me why I should pay you so much money. I said, great, let me do that. And I think I told you, I don't know if everybody was on that, but it's like, your pricing is unheard of or something. I said, yeah, so are my results. And here's why. And he did. And he goes, wow, you weren't kidding. Like, it's sold. Had another guy who was like a builder. You try and get 6% from a builder. Bryce and I met with this guy. I hardly had a voice that day. We were there for what, 2 hours talking about everything? And he was just like, he was not getting it, not getting it. And then finally he goes, well, wait a minute. I guess if you got me that, then I could sell more houses and then we could do flips. And so I guess the commission doesn't actually matter. I'm like, yep, doesn't actually matter. So we listed and sold his house in like 4 days for full price. And he was like, well, you told me that this is what was going to happen, but now I actually get to see it come to fruition. I said, yep. I said, I don't make this stuff up. Like, stats are stacks. I do what I do. So needless to say, he's throwing me listing after listing after listing. I could probably just deal with him this year and have a really good year if I did nothing else. So any questions?
Yeah, Mir's got one.
Just a question, slightly on the title insurance part. So let's say when my buyer is buying the house and the sellers are offering title insurance and there's some caveat or encroachment issues, what could be possibly go wrong in future, even though he has the title insurance?
A lot. So I had one where they had brought in, it was a garage. Like, it was the size of a garage, but it was a shed because it was on skids, so you could actually move it around, but it's big. Had a little ramp going up to it. It was 4 inches too close to the fence, which was adjoining the city property, which is just where they mow the grass. It is never going to be an issue, but it became a huge issue. So we wanted to give them title insurance because title insurance would have covered the fact that they didn't know it was 4 inches too close. It was also a movable structure. Big, but you could have moved it. They ended up having to tie up like $30,000, had to sit in trust until they got all the approvals from the city for a relaxation on that garage. At one point, I was like, well, if it's too close, we could just take it off. They're like, well, no, we really like the shed. We're like, well, all right, because they were, trying to get money off. They're like, well, we want 10,000 off the price. We're like, no, we'll drag that thing over. We'll take it away. It's not hooked up to anything. There's electricity. We could just unplug it and away we go. So you as the selling agent need to work for your client. Even the lawyer said, just give them a couple of thousand off. I said, no, we're not giving them any money off. We're going to hold that money in trust. We're going to get the paperwork we need, and it's going to be fine. All he wanted was to close the file. And all I'm thinking is, that's not in my client's best interest. Might make your life easier. Too bad. But can you imagine the lawyer giving advice? Yeah, just give up some money. Nope. And if I was a starving realtor and hadn't done anything, I might go, yes, just give him $1,000 because I really want to close the sale. No, don't care. I always don't care. Even when I've made no money for 6 months, I still care. I don't treat it as if I need the money. You do not want to be the sweaty palm realtor who's like, you go in and they're like, wow, this guy really needs a sale. His palms are all sweaty. I had a friend of mine who had a Cadillac. His payments were really expensive, and he always had sweaty hands. I'm like, you're too desperate. Mir?
I think my question was other way around. If you're representing the buyer in that case.
So the buyer, as the buyer, so that realtor did a good job for her buyer. She did not accept title insurance because if you looked at the property, we have to do this as realtors. Like when you go and look at a property, right, and you see the old RPR, because we had an existing RPR, you look at that thing and you're like, oh, wait a minute, there's no deck on the back. That's not going to be good. Wait, there's only 2 fences. So sometimes insisting on a real property report will save your seller, save your buyer problems. But statistically, like if you have title insurance, and my favorite example the guy gave was down in Ontario, they bought a house, they paid for title insurance. The garage was actually like 6 feet onto the city property. Like, whoa, title insurance actually paid to move it back. But do you want your buyer to have to deal with that? No. So sometimes when there's like an obvious, yeah, like I went to list one and I'm like, oh. So he was telling me, I added this room on. I added this roof line. And I had the listing. He said he was going to list with me, but then I said, do you have the permits for the addition? Do you have the permits for this? He listed with somebody else. $10. There were no permits. If that ever came back, that will bite you in the butt. So you need to look for things like that. Like look at the old listing. Because I looked at the old listing and thought, that roof line wasn't there. And that's like a big roof line. Like that's kind of a big thing. Adding on this whole, I don't know, it was probably 8x6 room as an entrance. That needs to go on the tax roll. The city's going to want to know that. So most of the time, I'm happy with title insurance because it really does cover a lot of things. But if there's a really obvious thing that you're like, this could be a problem, you need to ask for a real property report. Even if you have to negotiate and your client pays for part of that, it's probably worth it. Any other questions?
What?
Yeah, sorry, my camera is not on. So yeah, this title insurance and this property is kind of very important for us new realtors. I was talking to another realtor. He said their lawyer doesn't never ask. They don't accept title insurance. They want out only deal with RPRs. But
Yeah.
every time you go to listing here, then the listing says they will provide title insurance instead of RPR. So
Yeah. No, I was talking to Darlene, who's my assistant. You know how in there's like 3 or 4 RPR sections you're supposed to cross off. You don't actually have to cross them all off, but some people are really anal about, oh, you need to cross that off. And I said to her, I said, do you realize that you're not actually supposed to cross off anything on that contract legally? Because the lawyers made that for our protection, for everyone's protection. But what do? I'm not getting them an RPR. I'm going to give them title insurance. So also, I always think, well, wait, 2 parties agree on anything, it's fine. But legally, we're supposed to not touch that thing at all. So, yeah, like if you ask like my lawyer, for instance, he will not buy a house that doesn't have a new current RPR. Will not. He won't take title insurance. So I'm like, But I mean, when you get down to the point of negotiation and a new RPR is like $800 and title insurance is $250, your seller does not want to give $800. And sometimes it's just an updated RPR, which sometimes is good. Like, kind of like I said, we look at the thing and we're like, wait a minute, that deck wasn't there last time. And now they've added this big deck and it kind of looks like it's encroaching on the neighbors. I think we're going to have to check into that. right? So if there's obvious things that you're like, dude, look at the old listing, look at the photos, look at old Google searches. I know this sounds like a lot, but you know what? We're getting paid a lot of money. And now, because you're taking this course, you're going to get paid even more. So the requirement for you is you have to be excellent. You have to be elite. You have to be better than the average guy. And people appreciate that. You go, hey, actually, I look back on that. That garage wasn't there. Or there was a single garage and now there's a double garage. Is there even a permit for that? Right? Also, if you're aware that there's something wrong with it, but you get title insurance might be void. Like if you know, like you're looking at the property going, "Phew, yeah, that garage is sitting on, it's 2 feet from the alley. That's not legal, like mine. So on my house, it's too close. It's supposed to be 20 feet away or within 10 feet. Mine's in the middle. That's okay. When I bought it the first time, because I bought it twice, the first time I got an RPR. So then we got compliance where it said, okay, it's grandfathered in, it's always been there. I got my stamp. So now I can always have that piece of paper and that approval goes with it each time. And then people, when they say, if you're on the seller side, you don't want to pay for an RPR because they're like, well, the fence isn't there. You go, okay, well, if you, because some people say, well, I'm going to move in and I'm going to, what they say, I'm moving the fence line because I need parking, whatever. I say, okay, well, we're going to spend $800 to get you that RPR. And the moment you move that fence, the RPR is not current. So why would we ask for that? And they're like, oh, okay, so title insurance will be okay for me because I'm going to move fences. So you have to figure out, like on both sides, what's best for your client. Like you and Mira, if they're going to be like moving things and changing stuff and they don't care, they're not worried about anything. All right, title insurance will cover anything not known. But if it ever came back that you were aware that there was a problem, I think they could challenge that. Insurance companies are always looking for any loopholes not to pay. But title insurance is great. Like I actually say, because you can Google RPR's explanation. It'll come up with the Alberta Real Estate Association explanation. Send it to them. Make them do the homework. Make them see what title insurance is because it is a tough thing to explain. And even as a new realtor, Google it, read it. You need to know what is covered on title insurance. A lot of things are covered. Somebody comes to the door at grandma's house. Okay, you need to get out. She's like, what do you mean? Well, I'm foreclosing. Well, I don't have a mortgage. Yeah, you do. If grandma had bought that back in the day with title insurance would kick in. They'd get rid of that lien. Grandma would be fine instead of homeless or potentially homeless, hiring a lawyer to stay.
Here.
Yeah, just a question on the same note. When you're buying, basically, when we are selling as a realtor brand new houses, and majority, I would say probably in Edmonton, 95% or more builders are really offering title insurance. The explanation is there is no deck, there is no fence, there is nothing in the back. It's just a pad, let's say 20 by 20 or 18 by 18. So in that case, they don't have an RPR with a brand new
Yeah.
house.
So with new construction, they have to have what's called a building certificate or a lot drawing. So basically it's a drawing and on that drawing it shows where the house is sitting. So it's not an RPR, but they actually have to have that. And like to build, when I sold all of Rosedale Meadows, there was actually 4 surveys that happened before that house was finished. So with new construction, typically there's lots of checks and balances and things. But hey, we've also seen oh shoot, he didn't put that house in the right place. That's a problem. The eaves is hanging over the neighbors. That's not good. Even elevations is a really important thing with new houses. Like they have to check the elevations on those lots before they build. So there's a lot of things that they have to do before they can actually build that house. It may be better or worse now, but
How do you deal with that? Because I'm just dealing with them with the Look Builder in Edmonton for the same reasoning. Because when it all snowed and all that, at the beginning when we bought it looked like, yeah, it's properly, slope is right and all that, but it's not truly because now it's coming back towards the house. So do they need to come back and fix it or?
yeah, yeah, because I would say that 95 or 99% of new houses have a new home warranty, right? So if they have made a mistake, and I mean, there's some in Sylvan Lake, and I mean, they're cute, but I mean, I look at them and I'm like, Oh boy, the lot goes like this. It's like a 45-degree angle coming at the house. So I'm like, wow, you got to make sure that that swale is good so that that water is going away from the house and not going into your basement. It can be a huge issue. So if you're not happy with it, you just phone the builder and say, especially when spring comes, because a lot of times things will settle. All right. So then the builder will come back and redo the landscaping if they're worth their salt. If they're not worth their salt, you go, especially with social media, this isn't going to look very good as a Google review on your list, on your site. Powerful things. So then they'll come back. Had one where it was a new house, and the guy's like, I'm going to get a sewer line inspection. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's a brand new house. He goes, we have no idea. Sure, shooting. There was a rock on there. So when they compacted it, there was a rock that crushed the sewer line. So you get a brand new house, and it was just over the year, right? So the guy's like, I don't know if we want to fix it. I said, no, you really want to fix that. You're a really good builder. You have a great reputation. And these people have bought another house from you, and they have lots of friends. Oh, you're going to go over and do it? Great. Great. But yeah, there's a lot of things that we have to watch out for our clients. And this is all great information for your for sale by owner presentation. It's like, somebody's not going to go buy from somebody. They don't have any warranties, representations. They don't know if that deck is on the RPR. They don't know that. Like, you can just literally talk real estate ease just in a normal conversation that you and I would have. And they're just like, whew, I don't understand any of that. I should probably get help. Yes, you should. You should list. It used to, when you sign in person, it was like, press hard, the third copy's yours. Now it's like, the DocuSign will be there shortly. Sign it right away.
Mir?
Yeah, I think in the same note when you said you're selling houses and there might be potentially a sewer line problem because houses built in 1950s, 60s probably. And when we are selling it as a selling, let's say it's my listing and we are selling it, we don't know potentially what the problem could be. So how do we write? What do you write? So what I normally do is, yeah, it is, we're going to offer you this, this, and this, but at the same time, it's as is, where is.
Yep.
It's just the way we like to protect ourselves. Is there anything else would you recommend?
No, that's a really good one. It's like the realty store that we work with, they're listing stuff for their clients. So they write in there, the owner has never lived in this property. It is selling it as is, where is. Now, you only put that in the realtor comments because if that shows up in your write-up, you can literally lose a deal. It's like, oh, it's a fixer-upper or it's as is, where is. What does the lender think? There's something wrong with this place. I don't want to lend on it. So you have to be very careful about where you put that as is, where is part on your listing. Because you don't want them to think there's something wrong. So it's actually very rare that I would put in the as is, where is on my own particular listing. But it says at the bottom, like, if they're doing a home inspection, that's on them, right? Because, an inspector will go through, and one of my least favorite things is they say, there's no stickers on the panel. Is there any permits? I don't know, but I'll find out. Now, if it was my listing, I probably asked them about the permits, but did I have a copy of them? Not necessarily. They can send an email to the city, and this might be a good thing to do on every listing, is you can contact the city and get every permit that's ever been pulled on that house for free. They'll email it over to your seller. So even if you have things like that, so again, we need to be better than everybody else. So if we do things like that, like, people love selling my house because they're like, oh, you got the condo documents already? You bet. I had them order them 3 days before I listed it because I know it takes 10 days. But I told him to order them fast, so he's got them in 5. So you always are ahead of the schedule. You always are trying to figure out what problems people need solving to speed up this process, because you don't want to lose that offer because you didn't have the condo documents, or there was something in the condo documents that you should have known, like, hey, there's a $12,000 cash call coming. Oh, that's a problem. Now you got to deal with the $12,000 cash call, right?
Wow, that was awesome. Good job.
It's a very good thing because I just sold a condo, same scenario happened. So Bryce, just to bug you on that, do you have a one pager for condo docs or just follow whatever the purchase contract says?
Yeah, I just use the condo document condition, and then we have the seller message the condo corp and order the package.
Normally
I like
sellers
the
are
new one.
lost. What to offer?
Everything. It's like, and I like in there that it says, like, say you've got a lazy seller or a lazy realtor on the other side. If they don't get those documents, it says, I can do it and charge you. Love that. I haven't had to do that, but it is nice to have that option because sometimes, well, even getting condo, like, I had a guy the other day, $600 for condo docs. I think that must have been on two of his condos because I'm like, $600? This is highway robbery. But condo documents, like I've actually like there's this whole building and there was like five condos for sale. So all the realtors decided they'd have an open house. So we all had this open house together. It was actually quite fun. I gave away my books to people that came in and looked at my place. And later a guy brought me an offer and he said, "You know why I'm bringing you the offer instead of the other people? Because they were all very similar." He goes, "You got the condo docs already, don't you?" I said, "You bet." He goes, "That's why I'm calling you." So you need to be that guy. You need to be that guy that they're like, that guy's organized. That that's the one. He's always got stuff. Mir, he's always got his ducks in a row. He's already checked on the permits. Gun deep, he knows what he's doing. He works with builders. He's already checked into all that. You need to have that reputation because it will follow you, good or bad, as to how you operate and how you also treat your fellow realtors too. Think long term. Like sometimes we'd like to strangle people. You just don't like you see the bite marks. No, you just got to keep sucking it up. You can yell and scream when you get off the phone, but just stay calm and hang up. Maybe I always think I don't know what their day was like. They were just having a bad day. We're just going to go with that, right? But there's also those people we all know. We're like, I don't want to deal with them as a realtor. They are there's one guy, he's demeaning. He's always poking at me. He's just jealous of me, actually, because I beat him up on one offer where my guy got like 70,000 off the price for a home inspection. It was brilliant, but he hated me. I think he hasn't got over it yet. So if I'm looking at listings and I'm looking at those going, which ones do I want to sell? Guess what? If his isn't in the top three, or if it's close, I'm probably not going to show his because I don't want to have to deal with him. They want to deal with the 777. They want to deal with Team Canada. My favorite listings to show? Mine. I know everything's organized. I don't have to print off a listing. I can go over it's there. There's lovely photo books. Everything is organized. I don't have to worry about it. So be the person that you want to work with. Sell all your own stuff. Like be so organized that you're like, man, and you pay better, right? You're going to pay yourself a bonus every time you list and sell. Like it was pretty nice to double end a Team Candor listing. It's a good day.
One more question, if you don't mind. I think a lot of people, when you're going for a listing, when you're representing the buyer, they say it's a legal basement. What you look for when you want to go and verify that, because sometimes it
Yes.
takes time to get the information from the city. So
Yep.
when you go into the basement looking for the secondary furnace, if it's not the secondary furnace, what else and what kind of tickets?
Yeah, usually there's stickers of some kind, but not necessarily. And again, there's like 4 or 5 generations of suited properties. I'm not sure what it's like in Edmonton, but in Red Deer, it's sort of like, okay, well, this one was like one of the first ones. So if I change any of the electrical, that's another thing you need to know. You need to know what you're doing. If I change the electrical on a legally suited house that was grandfathered in, if I start monkeying around with the electrical, it could trigger the fact that I got to renovate the whole house and bring it up to today's standard, which could cost $80,000. So ask for the permits. And you're going to be the guy who already has the permits, right? You list the property and you're like, I don't see any stickers. Are you sure it's, because some of them are like, I think it's legal non-conforming or something. It's sort of that gray area, right? You're like, okay, you can go on in Red Deer anyway, you can go on and see the ones that say suited, right? So you're thinking it's legal. I found out we had one. This guy, it had the red S signifying that it was suited. He never finished the permits. He hadn't completed it. So it actually wasn't. So even though on that map it showed me it was suited, it wasn't legally suited. So if I said, well, you need to get the permits, send them to me, or finish the permits. I said, it's everything. Well, I just never got around to it. And I'm saying, well, it's like $40,000 difference if it's legal or if it's not. You choose. He still
Normally
owns
they say, yeah,
it.
sorry. Normally they say is, oh, I got the plumber who was certified, I got the electrician who was certified, stuff like that. But this technically, there is not second furnace there or it's not been hooked up, stuff like that. So just want to make sure what to look
Well,
for.
it's my favorite thing when I say, did you get permits for this? Well, I hired a professional guy did this, and my friend's a Red Seal electrician. Okay, but did they pull permits? I don't know. Phone them. If they didn't, tell them to do so because you can do retroactive permits. I had one actually lost a sale on a house that I had because the guy, and he hired like the best people. He was ready to kill them because he found out that sunroom, Bryce's house that he just bought, congratulations, didn't have a permit. So for $50 and had to have two inspections, because they got to find something wrong. Oh, put in a railing, put in a vent cover here. I'm like, all right, fine. But they literally walked away because there was no permit. And their realtor was so angry at them. He said, this is a $50 thing. There's obviously nothing wrong with it. He fired them. He said, I fired him, Penny, and I'm never working with them again. That's ridiculous. I'm like, thank you.
So in Red Deer, do they give a different address for a legal basement?
They don't give a different address, but like on ours, it'll show you 4110 39th Street. On there, it'll have a red S if it's legally suited. Now, if it's a triplex, you look on there, and there's actually three little designations. So that shows that it's a triplex. Because we had one, and it was like, I phoned the city and they said, we don't even have record of when that was done. And I said, well, it's on your site and you're taxing them accordingly. And there are multiple garbage recycling things. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be okay, right? So that if I ever have to defend it later, I'll go, it's on your site. It was this, it was that. You knew about it. It was on the tax thing. You can't say, oh, it's not legal. Or you can fight it anyway.
Fuad?
Awesome.
Just a quick question. You said one property reduced the price by 70K. Wonder how the lenders dealt with that.
They were happy. Yeah, they didn't. I know that could be a huge thing, right? It's like they might want you to do cash plus improvements. Like on this one, it was the decks needed fixing. In one of the bedrooms, the ceiling went like this. It was like there was water sitting up there or something. It was like, what is going on there? Because you didn't notice you go in there the first time, it's all dark and stuff. And the guy does the inspection, I'm like, oh no, that's not good. Water's coming in somewhere. So there were some issues, but this guy of mine, he's like the biggest grinder ever on the planet. Love him to pieces, but he makes me work. I got to beat those people up whenever I deal with him, but he buys stuff, lots of stuff, and he's fun. So I work for him. And I always say, hey, I'm just delivering the news. This is not me, just the messenger. Don't shoot me.
Silly thing to ask. So when you're representing the buyer and the seller is saying we're going to offer you title insurance, how do you go back and say what do you need to say in a manner that we don't accept or we
Yeah.
need our
So
PR for sure?
blame it on a lawyer. They spoke with their lawyer and have them speak to their lawyer. And in this instance, just because we're concerned about this or that, we really do need to have an RPR. Or like people, this one realtor, she deals with people that have come from another country. So she's covering their butt big time. She's like, nope, I always ask for an RPR because she doesn't want them to ever think that she wasn't caring for them. So you just go back and say, no, I'm sorry. This particular buyer will only accept title or will only accept an RPR. No one's probably going to lose a sale for $600. And like I say, even if your guy has to pay a little bit extra, if an RPR is important to him, kind of the old split the difference. Like if he was going to pay $250 or $300 on title insurance and it's going to be $600, he could pay the rest.
Sorry, quick question. We're also dealing with timing too. How long does an RPR takes to?
Yeah, it can take a bit. So I've got every type of person on speed dial. So if I need an RPR, I'm like, hey, Donnie, I need an RPR. I need it yesterday. Okay, I'm on it. So he can get it done and wrapped up in a week, probably 10 days at most. A lot of them, it's longer than that. So the thing is, they only have to have that RPR before possession. But I don't know if you've actually read your listing contract. In your listing contract, it says you can order an RPR and your client will have to pay for it. It says it in there because the lawyers wrote that document and the lawyers would like everything to be all nice and neat and tidy when it got to them. So if your seller ever argues, you can say, well, actually in whatever 9.7, it says you can go ahead and collect any information to help market the house, including a real property report. So it's rare that somebody sticks on an RPR, but it is important to listen to your buyer or protect your buyer depending on the situation. If they want an RPR, you just say, I'm sorry, title insurance doesn't work in this instance. You just send it back. Because that's just negotiating, right? That's just going to be a part of negotiation.
Sorry, when you said you have the dial, who do you call, you said, for the RPR? Like the surveyors or?
Yeah, so Donnie McKee is a surveyor, Accelerated Surveys. He's excellent. I've been dealing with him for years. So get to know people in the industry. Like reach out. I'm always looking for a good appraiser, good home inspector, good everything, because you need to have them on speed dial. Like I'll literally be at a house and they're like, gee, I wonder how much this costs for this to replace this poly B. I usually have an idea, but I'll say, just a minute, I'll check. Hey, yeah, hey, gee, here, look, I'll do a live video. And I go, what do you think? And he goes, well, I can be there in like 15 minutes. Sure. I literally have a guy that will come over and just show up and give me a quote. So, and like one guy's like, wow, the old, your net worth is your network. When you pull these things out of your pocket, they're like, you're the one I want to work with because you know everybody. Yep, I do. I know all the good ones and I know the ones we don't want to deal with too. So stick with me,
Does he work for Edmonton guys as well for the RPR?
I don't know if he would or not. But you could phone around and just meet and greet some, ask for references. Put on there, hey, anybody know an excellent surveyor who's fast, like Bryce did one the other day? I need somebody who's going to do an appraisal and do it fast and reasonable. Put it out there. You'll get some connections, and then you can just phone and say, hey, I'm just gathering information on highly respected and thorough people. I heard you were great, and I'm just wondering, kind of what's your turnaround time? What do you have to offer?
And now, like going that thing, like these kind of people, they need to be in that city unless they have people in that city. Like they have to, because it
Yeah.
takes like somebody like have to come from Red Deer, they have to drive back.
Yeah.
Like they
Too
have a
expensive.
bunch of thing like they probably have their own thing all of their schedule, so it takes time, right? When you said 50 minutes within Red Deer, Edmonton is probably half an hour, but this surveyor inspector, they have to be in that city unless
Yeah.
they have a bunch of people and unless they have a team. It's not going to work otherwise.
Yeah, I agree. You need to find a local expert who's available.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like Donnie, he'll do anything. I'll say, oh, we're looking at this property. What do you think we can do to subdivide it? And I'll literally send it off to him and he'll send it back. He'll give me Cole's notes. Well, you could put a 12-suite apartment building on here. You could do this. We could subdivide it off. And you go to an appointment and you have that in front of you. Wow. People are impressed. They're like, no, you did a lot of work before you even met me. That's how I got my grinder. He was so impressed. He said, I didn't want a middle-aged woman as a realtor. And he goes, I've known you for less than 5 minutes and I am firing every other realtor I've ever talked to. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And that was probably, I don't know, 10 years ago. He thought he was meeting Bryce. That's who he wanted to deal with.
Oh.
He wanted it cute and shiny, not old and wrinkly. But hey, you get 2 for 1. All right. So everybody go talk to at least one private seller. I want to hear either you had a conversation with somebody about how working with real estate is going to net them more money, or that you knocked on a for sale by owner's door, or you dropped off a flyer, or if you have extra buyers, go out there. I mean, hey, how impressed would they be at 30 below if you're dropping off flyers going, it's cold outside, but I have some people that need to be warm and they would looking for something on this street, you know. Just do something. Just get your name out there. Do things, you know, gun deep, you're working with builders. Builders are awesome. If you get a good builder, and the fun part about a builder is if you need any quotes on anything, it's like people say, oh, how much it costs for the basement development? You can literally, like I text my guys, hey, how much do you think it costs? 1,200 square feet, bi-level, blah, blah, blah. They're like, got a guy with garages. Well, it's going to cost you $39,995. Great. So, and then they like that too, because they realize you have other people, you have buyers, and your buyers have questions. And so they like that. They like somebody who's interested in them. You know, take them out for coffee, buy them supper.
Great.
All right.
Thank you, as always.
Thanks for listening. Have a great week. Stay warm.